so that you can see the spiral line, which is the line that we're going to look at and explore in our morning practice. Okay, so here it is. And this is such a fun line to explore. So it does start at the occipital ridge of the skull. Okay, it comes down through the erectus spinae muscles of the neck, the splenius capitis, and then it goes through the rhomboids. And then it goes underneath the shoulder blade, which is kind of cool because it does a crisscross across your back. So there's many times where it will spiral around your body. Okay, and as it comes down, it goes underneath the shoulder blade. And then that's when it moves into your serratus anterior muscle. And a lot of us know that's what does protraction of the shoulder blades. Okay, that means pulling them apart. Then it comes down in the front body and it crosses from one rib cage, one side of the rib cage. So I'm just going to show my body, the right side of the rib cage, and it crosses over to the left hip. So this is a really important connection here, because if we're in an anterior tilt, we're not connecting this opposite of the body. So sometimes we need to be aware, oh, opposite shoulder to opposite hip. So you can touch, let's just say your right rib cage, and I'll show my hands a little bit, and your left hip bone. And as you exhale, think of this area coming together. And you can do one side a couple times. Sometimes that SH breath is really helpful to connect. And you can do both sides and just notice, for me, I've got scoliosis and my body kind of shifts over to my left and it has a funky rotation. So I've got to work a little bit harder to get my left rib and my right hip to connect. And so it's like an X, okay, that connects in the front of your kind of upper belly, which is your third chakra for some of us that know the energy centers, which all of you do. And then it's going to go down on the ASIS, so the front of the hip bone, all the way down the iliotibial band. So we are going to release this iliotibial band. It crosses in front of the shin, and it goes down through the inner ankle, and then it goes under the foot, and then goes back along the outer lateral line, and then goes behind the knee up into the hamstrings. So you can see it here. And then up into the sacroiliac joints. Okay, so getting into a little bit more of the thoracolumbar fascia, and then going right up, all the way up to the skull again. And so this line of spiraling through the body is what we're going to focus on today, this morning practice, as well as the deep front line always. Okay, we're going to get a little bit into the arm lines. You will need a bolster or some kind of pillow. Okay, your slow-mo ball, a block that you place maybe behind the head. And we're going to lie down. So some of you might already be there. And I will screen, put myself big so that you see me. Now, this is up to you. If you want to be on camera, great. If you don't, that's fine. I've pulled you quite close to me so that anyone who is on camera, I can see them. So if you do want me to be able to see what's happening in your body, you can put your camera up in a way where I can see you. Okay, so I've brought mine quite close so that I can just look over and see you with ease. Awesome. There we go. So, Christina, your camera, if you do want to tilt it down just a tiny bit, then I can see you. Ah, perfect. Yes, beautiful. And Inka, Something that would help me is if you don't blur your background. So if you take that off in your camera settings again, because it is a little bit difficult for me to actually see your body as a whole in that. So you would
Are we
just,
mostly on the ground or are we standing as well?
we are just on the ground. We're not going to be standing at all today. Yeah. Perfect. That's so much better, Inka. Beautiful. Yay. Okay, good. I can see a lot of you. This is awesome. Okay, I'm going to come down onto my mat as well. So as you arrive onto your mat, I want you to check in with yourself and see, do I need any movements to help to connect into my body, finding a little bit more of proprioception or release for self? So you might take a few breaths in the nose, maybe a pursed lip breath out the mouth. Maybe a sigh or a sound. My body's just asking me to do a few release of the front of my hip creases and into my pelvis and my diaphragm. Okay, and wanting to bring in a tool that's intuitively coming in is you might feel to ground a little bit more and feel your body in space. You might tap, you might shake. Hopefully that comes in. I'm kind of shaking or jostling on the floor. Hey, you also might press down through your feet and tap the back of the sacrum on the floor as well. So knowing the spiral line passes through that sacroiliac area. So just noticing this jostling. Taking some time to settle. If you feel your body wants a little bit more support, then you can take a bolster and place it underneath the legs so you can be at the legs extended or the knees bent. So I've got my bolster turned upward, and then you can walk your feet away to come in to feel, can I feel the awareness of my body becoming heavy? Can I notice my exhalation? Maybe your hands are being guided to touch the abdomen with the elbows quite heavy on the floor. The dorsal vagal part of the nervous system. This day-to-day function of this part of the nervous system is our digestive system. And you might feel the arms want to go out to the side, moving away from the body, maybe palms up. And let yourself find heaviness and notice the container that you've created for yourself. And in this container that we create for ourselves, we allow the nervous system to know that it is safe. It's really important as we move through the body to land and locate. So using the senses at any time throughout practice to open your eyes, look around.
So look at something that allows you to feel safe, to come back into the moment. Might even place the hands on the body to locate yourself in proprioception. Do you notice your feet touching the floor, your legs on support if you chose it? The weight of the pelvis onto the mat, and the gentle expansion three-dimensionally of the breath as you receive the inhalation. So, can you open yourself up to expand, to receive the nourishment that is being offered to you in inhalation? It's a little bit more energizing. And as we exhale, there's a gathering, there's a softening, a dropping into the earth as we let go. So you can start to continue to travel up through the rib cage. Feel how the body's responding to the expansion and where the body may be holding. It feels right, that invitation of self-compassion towards oneself today, of you listening through the fascia of what your sensory awareness is noticing, and then allowing the body to move in a way that responds to that sensory awareness and allows you to feel this communication of the body and the senses complete the loop. Feel your shoulder blades, maybe one you might notice might feel a little bit heavier than the other. Keep feeling the expansion as you feel your body widen three-dimensionally. The diaphragm contracting, lowering down, pressing on the abdominal organs, giving them a massage as the body expands. And as you exhale, the diaphragm relaxing, the belly deflating, the rib cage gathering, so softening through the chest. And between the shoulder blades, you can sense that space. Is it constricted? Is it holding? Is the back door to your heart just in our spiral line? The arms, the hands, the fingers, the neck. And that space as you travel up through your neck, behind the ears into the base of the skull where the vagus nerve comes out of the skull. Notice your face, your jaw. You might wiggle it around. Feel the imprint of your body. And you feel the sense of proprioception, the imprint of your body. Also notice this inner sense of awareness. As long as it feels safe to move inward. Remember, at any time as we go inside of the body, this mindful awareness of moving inward to our inner sensations, connection to self, the felt sense awareness, signals that our body is giving us inside, warmth, itch, pain signals. We stop, we come out, we readjust. Noticing that you're coming out to find safety at any time that you need to. Giving you a little pocket of space without my voice to notice, how are you arriving into practice through body, your fascia sensing. You feel the relationship of the body befriending and the nervous system, the fascia. That container of loving compassion towards self today. These innermost receptors, the interstitial receptors, are most abundant in the body, and they're free nerve endings, which means they have a spreading quality through our awareness of the body. And they give us a sense of this inner awareness, this inner mindful awareness. How do we feel on the inside? When you're ready, just start to wiggle the toes. Feel how that movement trickles up through the legs, the knees, the upper thighs, into the pelvis. And then you might wiggle the fingers. Notice that connection trickling out through the arms, the wrists, the elbows, the upper arm, the shoulders, into the front of the chest and the shoulder blades, your full wing. And you might take a moment to find an awakening stretch. You might do a little bit of contraction of the body, just to feel the body, and then let it go. You might do that one more time if that felt good, just contracting. And let it go with an exhale, maybe a sigh. And then when you're ready, releasing your bolster, your support, letting the knees come into the chest. Just taking a moment to rock around. Good. Yeah, you do what you feel is good. Okay, so we're gonna go into a few movements to warm up the shoulders and the hips. And so our first one is mortar and pestle. And so this is the first mortar and pestle that helps to bring fluidity to the shoulders and the hip joint and warm up the synovial fluid. And so some people really like just doing it on the floor. Joya originally created this one to have a little bit of support underneath your pelvis. So I just got a really nice pillow that I like to use. You might use a chip foam block. So a lot of you I know have explored your height that you like to put under the pelvis. Take a moment once you place that height. If you've never done it with a little bit of height, just try it. Feel your exhalation, so landing, locating. So always want to notice, how do we feel before we go into the pose or the tool? And then when we come out, we can notice how we feel and what shifted. Did it benefit us? Did we enjoy it? Maybe it wasn't working for us. As you exhale, feel that lower belly drawing in and up. And you might I like to think of the pubic bone just gently lifting up towards my belly button, which helps the lower transverse connect, and bringing the legs up as you fold at the crease of the hip. Knees are always bent when you come up. Okay, then you unfurl the legs. But for now, we're going to go into mortar and pestle with the knees bent, starting with the feet, knees, the pelvis, all in that hip width apart. I want you to feel, can you reach a little bit through your toes, your big toe mound, your pinky toe mound, the inner heel, the outer heel, maybe even the back of the heel. And feel how that just soft energetic connection through the dowel foot or that crescent moon foot has that connection up through the legs. Then you're going to place the hands just on the outside of below the knees, a little bit of pressing in with the hands and a little bit of leaning out into the hands. So we've got that biotensegrity coming in. And then as you keep that gentle pressing in, leaning out, inner lift, you're going to exhale the legs towards you, belly's going to deflate, and you're going to separate the legs, circle them out and around, away from one another, and then away from the body. So just going into mortar and pestle, feeling that soft leaning of the hands into the outer legs and the legs into the outer hands, and then check in about your spiral line. So you might feel the back of the skull, you might nod the head a little bit and just notice, is my back of my neck open and spacious? And I feel a widening and a little bit of leaning in between the shoulder blades, that back door of the heart. Can you exhale and bring the opposite rib to the opposite hip? You might use that SH breath. And then when you start to feel fluid going in one direction, pause. And then when you're ready, you're going to inhale. And as you exhale, finding that equal leaning as the legs circle out and around towards the belly, belly deflate. And as the legs meet, you're going to inhale away. And then separate, circle out and around towards the body. And then release away. Go as slow as you need to feel connected, noticing the biotensegrity, your body, your breath, feeling your proprioception to orientate yourself in your space, but also the inner awareness of what you're sensing and feeling. Okay, so when we move and in order to release the adhesions and hydrate the body, we need to load the fascia a little bit. That's why that biotensegrity awareness of leaning in and out, we're creating a little bit of a loading to the fascia. And then that helps bring in that slide and glide, which happens in the superficial fascia. Good, shake it out when you're ready. Okay, so shaking and jostling, it helps us bring in proprioception. Okay, connect into the part of the nervous system that relaxes us. It's vagus nerve that we're focusing on today. And then you're going to drop your feet down to the floor and you're going to take out the support of the block. And we're going to go into finding smiley face. We're going to bring the eyes into it as Joya created this series with the eyes in the series. So I'm just grabbing my slow-mo ball. That's what I like to put in between the inner thighs. For me, you might have a block. I also, for some students, and I'll show you this today that you can explore, sometimes when we go into this, and I'm going to turn towards you so you can see this, if we have something in between the legs, it's very difficult for some of us to keep our feet at hip width apart as well. And I see a lot of the time, feet coming together, if there's something in between the legs, an unevenness between legs. So sometimes I'll give that awareness of putting a block to hold in between the feet. The other thing that I want you to be mindful of as you're doing it is, and I'm going to show this, your foot, for some of us, tends to do this. Okay? And so it's supinating out. So what I want you to think about is rooting through this big toe, but also pulling this side of your pinky side, your lateral arch around. So as if your foot is leaning against something. See how I'm even here and I'm not kind of turning and supinating out in the air. So I want you to be mindful of that as we go into smiley face. If you have a long dowel and you want to put it in between your hands, feel free. I'm going to do this without a block in between my feet because I've been focusing a little bit more on bringing my lateral arch into this awareness to connect into the outer hip. And it's just part of your spiral line, that connection through the inner and outer lines and spiraling around the body. So as you exhale and you bring the legs up, you might think, okay, I'm just going to start with taking the arms out of it. And as you lift the pubic bone, gather the opposite hip to rib, you're going to bring the legs over to the side. And then you're going to not lift the legs up, not pull them up with the legs, but you're going to use the deep front line and the spiral line together to find that connection. The left, so I'm going over to my left hip and my right rib coming together, and the legs float up towards you. Then you come into center. Inhale, and as you exhale to the right, it's your right hip and left rib gathering together in that X, and the legs float up to each side. So you can check in with that and play with that. Keep squeezing the block. Good. Some of you, if you want to hold your big ball in space, okay, keep a little bit of leaning of that back door of the heart in between the shoulder blades into the floor. And as the legs go in one direction, the arms can go in the other without collapsing on your ball. If you choose, you can keep your head in center and just move the eyes from side to side. So if your legs are to the right, your eyes are to the left. Just bringing in that ocular cardiac convergence of the eyes, bringing in that activation of the vagus nerve to either release and calm the nervous system or excite it if we've gone into hypoarousal. Just remember, go soft with the eyes, receive the image that you're looking towards the eyes. If you feel nauseous or dizzy at any time, or if you feel unwell using the eyes, just stop. If you want to go into intermediate, feel free, extend your legs. Make you think of that lateral line, the spiral line, connecting around. See if you can feel your biotensegrity in space. Beautiful. Looks really good. I'm just going to come out and watch for a moment. Hello, Christina, your noodle. So Christina, your feet are wider than your legs. Just so you know, if you look up in space, when they come up in the air, your feet are wider than your legs when they're coming to side to side. There we go. Better. Nice, Nikki. And you can feel, Nikki, your pinky side of that big toe mound coming around a little bit more for you. There we go. Nice. Good, Kayla. That looks really good. Yeah, take your time to be there. Some of you are doing the full intermediate series where you just let the legs go from side to side. So that's the full version of it, right? Where you don't bend the knees, you're just flowing from right to left. Okay, so that's the most challenging part of it. Good, now watch when you twist, is your spiral line connected? Beautiful. Yeah, just wakening up the body. You rest whenever you're ready. Good. Take a moment to pause and notice how you feel after doing that move. Do you feel some sensations of the temperature shift? Maybe your breath shifting. Do you still feel safe and heavy? Is there any other feedback that your body's offering you or movement that it's asking you to do? Okay, so we're gonna skip through a couple poses in the series and go into the seesaw and three heel pose, which is probably the one where people have the most questions in. I'm showing you a couple adaptations that I've done over the years and a couple options here. Some people really like to have, and you can have a bolster or a pillow and have it along the side of the ribs and leaning the elbow into the floor. So this would be your starting place. Some of you, if you want and you feel comfortable, you can be on the floor, okay, supporting the head, okay, with the hand, but having this leaning into the body. I'm going to go up a little bit higher because I do really like this version. Okay, but we're not collapsing into this shoulder. So for me right now, I'm on my left side, but you just turn towards camera and just know that I'll try to talk the side that's closest to the floor. So whatever elbow's on the floor, you're going to press it into the floor. You're going to reach a little bit of energy out your head. That back foot is behind the leg, okay? And the toes are slightly angled towards the back of your leg. Now, I'm just putting my hand here so you can kind of orientate my pelvis. My pelvis here is pressing forward. So that's the tendency that I see. A lot of hardening through the body. So you've got to soften back. And just feel that as you drop back, your back leg, that foot's going to become really heavy. And you're going to feel opposite rib to opposite hip. And as I do that spiral connection, my bottom leg becomes really light. Okay, reaching energy out through your dowel foot of the bottom leg that's going to move up and down. Now this hand, intent here on the bolster on the floor. I like it on the bolster because it gives some freedom for me to connect to both sides. As you're pressing that back leg into the floor, you're lifting up through the deep front line. This leg floats up and down. So we're getting this inner and outer line of the spiral line. So there should be no rocking and rolling here. You should feel very quiet and connected. So we're working sthura and sukham, fluidity and stability. Excellent. Yeah, you got it. Good. Inka, your back leg, it's pointing out. Roll it in. Roll it towards camera. There it is. There it is. Now press into it a little bit more. Keep that. Yeah, now you've got it. Okay, intermediate. Hey, you bring the arm up, it crosses over, and when the arm crosses over, you can look at your elbow. Okay, that bottom leg lifts. Now, this could be too much for you, so don't go into it. But as the front leg lowers and the arm comes back, you can watch your hand. And so there's a lateral movement from side to side with the eyes. Looking from elbow to hand. Remember the awareness of, remember when you read the document that I sent, you might feel, oh yeah, those lateral movements, they help to calm the amygdala fear response and bring in a sense of courage. Good. Yeah. Okay, now pause. Want you to take your two balls, and now I'm going to come a little bit closer to show this. But we're going to do a little plowing technique. So just wanted to feel that. So you're going to start at the back of the thigh. And then you're going to plow towards the top of the thigh. So you're going to go across the iliotibial band. So you're going to go here to the back, closer to the hamstring, and then the balls are going to move all the way across the iliotibial band towards the quad muscles. Okay, so you're going to start lower. I'm going up on my bolster. You're going to press down a little bit to create some little bit of weight here. Take a breath. Notice how that feels. Now back off if you need to. Then you're going to move the leg kind of downward on an angle. So it's going across the iliotibial band. Then you pick up the leg, you reset, and then you plow again across the iliotibial band. Now notice, the interstitial receptors here might be really speaking to you. So you're going to go softer if you need to. You pick up the leg, you reset, you plow across the iliotibial band. And you might go, I want to move those balls down a little bit. Yes, there we go. Just gonna watch. Yeah, there it is, Nikki. So it's a little, you have to kind of play with it a little bit, right? In that plowing tool. We can ask questions as well once we come back together. But we're getting a little bit deeper into the fascia here. So it helps to manipulate the deeper fascia. The iliotibial band is more of a fibrous, deep fascia rather than superficial. So it helps to release any adhesions, rehydrate. Okay, it creates circulation. Okay, so once you do that, I want you to pause, check in again, and then go into seesaw one more time. I'm just going to do it without my arms because I really want to see how it feels. If the hydration kind of changed, I feel a little bit more fluid. Yeah, good. Watch some of you are rocking and rolling. Keep connected. There you go. Good. Aha. Then pause. Take a moment to notice how you feel. Take a few breaths. And then you're going to try the other side of seesaw. So first thing you're going to do is just try the pose without doing any ball rolling. So just get set up. The other option is sometimes I'll have people that I'm working with where their shoulder is quite sore. So I have done this before where people have used the bolster to lie down on. And it's a little bit harder to connect here. But if you've never done this before, you feel, okay, what is it? What do I need to do to connect to my deep front line and my spiral line? So you're rooting down the back leg, foot. The toes are pointing a little bit more towards your front leg. The thigh angles in. You drop back in your hips. As you drop back, it's a little bit of a leaning back. That front leg will just come up. Now feel, take a moment, exhale, become heavy on that bottom hip. Connect by lifting your pubic bone, gathering opposite hip to opposite rib cage. And then slowly allowing that bottom leg to lift up and down. Yeah, you got it. Good, Julia. Nice, kid. I'm going to do a couple because this is a really strong pose. Right? And then you're going to try again, putting the two balls under the iliotibial band, maybe a little bit closer to the hamstring connection. Exhale. Notice if you want a little bit more weight. If you don't, it might just be enough with the weight of the leg. and then you plow. So the plowing is kind of like if you think of plowing or shoveling snow, you're going in one direction. So you're allowing the legs. You can see I'm starting with my knee forward and then I'm plowing back. And then I reset and I'm moving my leg back and the balls are coming forward. So you can see my balls appearing. I do that a couple times just to feel. And then sometimes I ask my body, do you want a little bit more pressure? My body's saying yes today. Okay, so the pressure is felt from the direction that you're plowing. So you always reset, soften the pressure, and then press and allow the plowing to come in. Good. Yeah, you got it. There you go, Christina. And some of you might be going from the top of the iliotibial band across to the hamstring, and that's fine too. So you might even be coming forward, and that's a little bit easier for you. Once you've done it a couple times, pause, reset, connect, see if it changed or shifted anything. And then just roll on your back and lie down for a moment. You might have a few breaths out your mouth. Seeing how you feel. Any input that you're receiving from your fascia and your nervous system. Notice if the body wants to respond in any way. My body was in stillness, and then the minute I gave that invitation, it wanted to bring a little bit of movement in. So I'm just letting my body do whatever it wants to. Okay, so we come in with this non-judgmental, interoceptive awareness of meeting the body and allowing the body to lead what it needs. And then we're just going to stay on the side that we ended on, and we're going to go into three heel pose. So three heel pose, you have your foot anchored on the floor, bottom leg. Top leg is going to come up. I just got my head on the bolster for a little bit more softness here. You can be up on the forearm if you want. You can have the bolster there again and be here. I'm just going to go a little bit softer today so I can really just get into the feeling and the assessing. So as you exhale, let the pelvis become heavy, let the relationship of the thigh bones and the ball of the socket communicate with one another. And you might even take the hand and start to tap the thigh a little bit. So this helps to continue to allow us to feel safe by bringing in proprioception, bringing in that vibration. Will help us come into the body a little bit more, calm the nervous system. Maybe we might jostle or shake. Good, and then find that soft bend of the knee. So remember, Joy always talked about this bow-like quality of the limbs. So we're never so taut that we're feeling a lot of tension on the superficial fascia or the skin, because then it can't really slide and glide. So as we bend the knee, it almost feels like we have this softening or draping quality of the outer flesh. And then that allows the superficial fascia to slide. So the integrity is from the inside, which can allow the outer skin and the superficial fascia to be supported on that inner integral. So if you're working with someone, we talked about this on Friday night, if they're always really tight in the outer body, then bringing in more awareness to the inner and a core line, inner awareness, if you're bringing in spiral line like we are today, And then that'll allow the outer body to soften. Okay, so three heel pose. So three heel Joey's talked about pressing the bottom leg into the floor, the connection of feet into the pelvic floor, and lifting pubic bone, finding opposite hip to opposite shoulder. And then you're allowing the leg to float up and down. So you should feel a slide and glide starting to come in through the movement, through the iliotibial band for some of you, through the back of the thigh. Notice your feet, what's happening. Interesting. I can feel my scoliosis. My leg kind of goes in like a little S curve as it lifts up and down, especially on this left side. So I notice that, but I offer compassion to myself to allow it to be here. Okay, now whatever leg you're moving, we're going to do something which is called a pin and a stretch. So for me, my top leg was my left. Now this is when sometimes you might like putting your balls in a container for this one and having two. I like it because we're going to do it on our calf and the ankle. But if you don't have that handy and you just have one ball, that's fine. You can just put it anywhere on the back towards the Achilles, the back of the calf. So you might just take a moment to touch. Where does my body want it? And then you're going to extend your leg and find the ball resting. So I'm just doing one for now. You can also have the block, a ball, and the foot up a little bit if you want. Okay? I find this one a little bit easier when I'm in lower leg sometimes to be, if I'm seated, sitting up, to have no block. If I lie down, sometimes I like the block because it's easier. And you're going to do just a soft awareness of compression to start. Okay, so just let your body sink into the ball. So this is signaling the body and the muscle fibers, the spindles, to just start to relax. Okay, and then the stretch is coming in and noticing when we pin an area of the myofascia, so the muscles in the fascia, then we move the joint that is closest to it. So we have the calf, we know if we move the foot, it's going to tug and create that sliding and gliding motion. So you can here point, flex. You can do that little motion of pointing and flexing, noticing your breath. You might also feel, oh, I want to circle, do a little range of motion. And then sometimes some of the tools that we've used over the weekend come in. Sometimes the body might go, oh, do a little bit of combing or stripping. Okay, so that's going along the muscle fibers. So I'm rolling the ball from my heel up through my calf and down. Some of you might, the body might go, oh, do a little cross fibering. Okay, so you might go across the leg. So just check in. Okay, so we're weaving some of the tools together here, but make sure you're breathing. You're working at a maximum of 70%. Check in if the body wants to move. Remember, we don't hold for any more than 2 to 3 minutes in one area. If you do move, do the same process. Exhale, pause, allow to yourself to receive the ball. Then go into the breath and allow for a little bit of movement. So you're pinning and stretching. So it's really nice to play with this a little bit. I'm just going to check the timing. Hopefully we haven't gone over. Oh, we've gone over. Okay, we're just going to finish this one up because I do want to finish this. Okay, then you're going to pause. Notice how you feel. Go back into three heel pose. Okay, so set up, become heavy, shake out the leg. Notice even what your leg feels in space. and then move. Take a moment to notice in that leg. Do you feel a shift? Do you feel a change? Sometimes we can feel a flush of warmth. Something frequently that the students, whenever I get them to check in, they always express to me, oh, I feel more fluid. I feel warm. I can feel areas above that softening and expanding and feeling spacious. You might have a little bit more awareness of sensing the lower leg. Okay, then you're going to flip over. Try free heel pose. Actually, my body's saying, no, you need to lie down. I especially like to lie down and use a bolster on this one because my shoulder's been feeling a little bit sensitive lately. And the higher you have your height, the more space you create for the shoulder. Remember this bottom foot. Hey, you're pressing that into the floor. So this is my bottom foot. I'm tapping it. But see how I'm leaning that foot into the floor to create integrity through that lower side of the body before the leg comes up. You bend it, you tap it. You might have a pursed lip breath. You find the feet, soften into yourself, and you find that integrity. So you feel heavy. And then some of you are already moving whole leg, like drawing a rainbow. Okay, so try that a few times, many times as you want. Then pause, get up, try the pin and stretch again on the leg that you're moving. Okay, if you're sensing, I want to try it from a lying down position, you can put your block on the floor. This is when you can have it in a sock or not. And you can stabilize. And then I want to show you, just making sure my foot's got on the camera. So you can stabilize here on, find that compression. So you can also do this technique. I'm just going to layer onto it on this side. So once you find that compression, then you can start to point and flex, maybe circle. So you're mobilizing the joint that's connecting closest to the ball and moving that muscle. And for me on this side, I need a little bit more awareness. On my left side, I have a lot more sensation, but on my right, I don't. So I'm taking, my right leg is on the ball. I'm just taking my other leg and I'm crossing it over on top. That creates a little bit more compression. And then you can point both toes and heel. So if you want or need a little bit more, then you just add that top leg on top. Okay, so you can sit. So some of you are going into the combing. Yeah, you might need to sit up in order to do that, or going into the cross fibering if it's calling in. So let your body move that. The fascia is sensing. Okay, it's inputting into the brain. And the brain is signaling, what do you need into the body? Remember, 80% of your information is going from the fascia through the body up to the brain, and then 20% of information goes from the brain down into the body. So this neural sensational highway. Yeah, good. Kayla, feels like something, you're feeling something in that lower leg, right? I'm not too sure, but I'm sensing something going on there, right? Yeah. Good. If you want to try in a moment to go back into three heel pose, you can. Hey, you don't have to. Some of you I can really feel are like, oh, but I want to just move the ball up a little bit and go in a little bit of a different place. So it was interesting. I'll, as you're kind of doing this, I'll just share a little bit. I was working with this one with my classes last week, and we were releasing through the calf and the Achilles and moving up. And some people were expressing, oh my God, the pain that I had in my knee went away after I did it, or the pain that I was feeling in my upper thigh dissipated. And so that really comes to show that where we sometimes feel the most sensation is not where the pull or the work that we need to do, where we have to go. So it might be distally, moving away from where we're feeling the most sensation and working maybe below it or above it or to the left or to the right. And then that softens the myofascial connection, and we feel less bunching or pain or discomfort in that area. Yeah, good. You can pause and rest for a moment after. We're going to end our exploration here. You can sit for a moment quietly with the legs straight, or you can lie down. Your body might be saying, oh, I need to do a little stretch. So my body just wants me to go a little bit into kind of a fluid dynamic forward fold. You do what feels right for you. It's important that you listen to the body and you always give that freedom. Yeah. Take note how you feel.